Welcome to Write Now Workshop Podcast, where you can write a book and change the world. I'm your host, Kitty Bucholtz, and this is episode 75, Follow the Cheerios, an encouraging words episode coming to you on Sunday, June 10th, 2018. Now, today's encouraging words is coming to you courtesy of one of my all-time favorite films, Monsters Incorporated. Now, as soon as I said that, did you start thinking to yourself, oh, I know what scene she's going to talk about if this episode is titled Follow the Cheerios? Yes, indeed. It is when Mike and Sully are in Sully's apartment. They've got Boo in there. They're trying to figure out how to get her back to her world because everything they've ever been told, ever, is that she is dangerous, highly toxic, has germs. They shouldn't have her in their world at all. And they most certainly don't want her to touch them or touch their stuff or anything like that. So ginormous monster Sully is hiding behind his chair while this little human girl who's probably 2 is coloring on the living room floor of his apartment. But as he's watching her, you kind of get the impression that he's beginning to rethink all of the conclusions that he had drawn before, and that maybe it's not all quite as it's been told to him. She's beginning to do that little kid yawning and droopy eye thing when, they want to stay up longer, but they just can't stay awake anymore. And so Mike is like, are you tired? Are you sleepy? Do you want to go to bed? So the funniest thing happens. I don't know how it is in other countries, but in the United States, there's some sort of thing that parents get told, and it seems like practically all parents seem to do it. They carry around little bags of Cheerios cereal, and they feed this to their kids as like a snack or just a way to keep them quiet while they're doing something else. I don't know. I don't have kids, but I see a lot of little kids eating Cheerios or Cheerios-shaped snacks. So it's very funny to me that in this movie, Sully has a box of cereal where the cereal looks pretty much almost just like Cheerios or Fruit Loops because some of it's kind of colored. And he starts laying down this trail of Cheerios on the floor like she's a little dog. And he's trying to get her to follow him. And I'm watching this scene and thinking, you know what, God, that would be great. How about you just lay down a trail of Cheerios, some little thing that I'll follow to the next one, and then I'll follow to the next one. Because if you are trying to talk to me and say, listen, young lady, you're just tired, you need some sleep, you'll feel better after you get some rest, go to bed, and I'm not hearing or understanding or getting it, or I don't want to, or whatever. I mean, any of the things that we might think that's happening in Boo's mind while Sully is like, are you tired? Do you want to go to sleep? And then he just lays down this trail of Cheerios. So I actually started at one point sort of laughingly talking to God. I'm like, okay, I don't know what the Cheerios are, but you do. You know what I'm going to follow. Some little clue that will get me going again onto the right path. I don't even know what the right path is. I'm beginning to think that maybe I'm on the right path, that the path hasn't changed. But sometimes you struggle with wondering, am I really supposed to be doing this? I'm not sure. I wish I had a clue. So here's my thought. Look for the Cheerios. Look for the things that are leading you in some direction that seems good to you. It may not end up being the right thing, but at least you're moving, because sitting there in the middle of the living room floor, getting more and more tired, and you know what happens when kids get really, really, really tired? They have a terrible temper tantrum and scream and kick and shout and cry, and you don't want to get to that place. Neither do I. We don't want to see each other in that place. We don't want to be in that place. So if we could figure out what the Cheerios are that we could follow, then maybe we could figure out where we're supposed to be going, at least a little bit more. There'll be some movement at least. So I think that some of the Cheerios are, for instance, I've probably had 3 or 4 or 5 people tell me in the last week or two since I've been talking about, I don't know, maybe it's time for me to quit. Maybe I've taken this road to the end of the road and there's nothing more. And several people, more than I thought, have said to me, don't quit, Kitty. I love your books. I want you to finish writing them, and I want you to write more. And just don't quit. I don't think that you should quit. So those are a few Cheerios. I've been sort of following those, seeing whether or not that leads to a place that, there's still more road, more path to follow. I've also spoken to a couple of people about maybe I should just take a little bit of a break. Maybe I should go on a sabbatical of some kind. On Tuesday, we're going to talk a little bit about burnout and how I Googled it to find out more about it and was shocked to discover my picture next to the definition. Not really, but it might as well be. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And one of the things that I said to a few friends, just kind of testing the waters, seeing whether or not these Cheerios are leading down any particularly good path. I said, maybe for the rest of the year, I should just take a break. And maybe if I am not trying to force myself to do all of those correct things that lead us to making money in our profession, maybe if I just wrote and didn't do anything else, like didn't market, didn't try to sell books, didn't purposefully get on my editor's calendar to get her editing done by a certain date, and purposefully get on my cover designer's calendar to get covers done at a certain date. Like, just forget everything having to do with the business of writing and just write. So I have been pleasantly surprised, mostly surprised really, at the number of people who have said, that sounds like a great idea, like immediately, without even thinking about it. Not, oh yeah, you should think about that. Maybe that's something that would help. No, I mean people going, yeah, seriously, you probably should really do that. And I'm like, oh, well, I don't know. Maybe that's part of the path. Maybe that's where the Cheerios are going. So I don't know what will work best for you or what you're looking for or what questions that you have that you're trying to figure out the answer to. But my advice is follow the Cheerios. Look for the Cheerios. Pick up some of them. See how they taste. See whether or not it leads someplace beyond, the place where you've been sitting trying to figure out what to do. I don't know. Well, let's find out what happens with each other. I can tell you for sure that I will not give up this podcast at least for 1 year. At least for 1 year. That takes me through the end of 2018. I will definitely keep podcasting. There will come a point, though, when I won't be able to afford to just podcast and not make any money from anything having to do with anything that I do. So we'll see what happens after that. I'm going to open up my Patreon. I don't know if you've heard of it. Patreon is a site that's sort of like giving a donation or a tip to people that you like, the things that they're doing that they are offering for free, but it's a way that you can support them and help them to continue being able to offer it. And then you give your patrons, so it's like a patrons of the art thing, patrons of the arts, there we go. And then, so you, that would be me, I give people who are patrons extra special bonuses, like private Q&A sessions or answering all their questions or giving them, a copy of books when they come out, like e-copies or whatever. Like there's all sorts of things that you can do. So that's something that I'm thinking about doing. That will be me following the Cheerios a little bit to see, should I still be doing this? I love doing it. I know several listeners have told me that they really like it, which is so awesome. Thank you, because that's a Cheerio. That helps me go, okay, yep, I still need to be doing it because people are getting something out of it. Yeah, so what are you asking yourself, and where might you find the Cheerios that will help you to find out, have you come to a dead end, or is it just an intersection, or is it a fork? So I'm going to be doing it. I hope that you find something in your life that you're like, yep, that's what I need to do. I need to look for the Cheerios. And yeah, let's tell each other what happens. You'll hear from me. If you keep on listening to the podcast, you'll find out whatever answers that I end up finding. And then let me know. Send me a message on Twitter or on the blog, podcast.rightnowworkshop.com, and then, choose one of the episode numbers. This one's 75. You can leave a comment. Or if you're watching on YouTube, you can leave a comment there and tell me what you're looking for and what you're finding. That's the interesting place. Where are the Cheerios leading us? And just to let you know, in Monsters, Inc., Sully was laying down a trail of Cheerios to make a little pile of newspapers for Boo in the corner the way you would for a puppy. but Boo got partway down the trail of Cheerios and saw Sully's big comfortable bed and climbed up in that instead. So I'm just saying, I don't know where the Cheerios are headed, but maybe we only need to follow them a certain direction for a certain length of time, and then we'll be like, oh, now I know where I want to go. I want to be in that great big comfortable bed. I don't know. Maybe I'm pushing the analogy too far, but I hope that you find it encouraging. And you know what? If this isn't something you need today, but you're thinking, oh, my friend should listen to this, either just tell them yourself what you got out of the podcast episode. Just help them, because that's what you want to do for your friends. Or if you want to help your friend and me, tell them about the podcast. And let's see if we can share the love. And, that's the whole point, right? Help each other. So I want to help you, and it helps me to talk to you also. So I hope that you don't think I'm ridiculously silly. But I'm sure that as I regain my confidence, I'll be just silly instead of ridiculous. No, that probably won't be happening. I'll just be me. All right, that's it for me. Have an awesome week. Follow some Cheerios. Tell me where they go. And we will talk to you more on Tuesday.